Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Book Hunting. One of my favorite local public libraries is having a book sale all week. Yesterday was the first day, Monday, I believe, the 21st? Uh, and I went and got a good number of books. And in this video, I want to show you what I thought were the 10 most interesting. And actually, if you looked at the thumbnail and counted, there are 11 books, but two of them are pretty much duplicates. So I'm counting it as 10 different works, shall we say. Um, this sale had an interesting kind of setup as far as pricing. Um, there was a section of books that were mostly ex-library, books that were in poor condition, and those books were fill a grocery bag for $1. The rest of the books were $1 for any softcover, trade back, mass market, and $3 for hardcovers. I did not get any hardcovers. But the sale will be going on all week, and the way these sales normally go, if you're shopping later in the week, generally pricing gets better because they don't want to put books back away into storage, so you tend to get better deals. As my understanding, the sale will go through Saturday. I'm sure I will go at least one more time this week and hopefully get a few more bargains. Also, I am told that they have a ton of inventory that they had not put out yet. They had a very sizable donation from a local nonprofit. So hopefully there'll be even more new and interesting stuff later in the week. But without further ado, let's look at some books. First book I thought, like I said, and these are the ones I consider the most interesting. Mass market paperback of a Red Dwarf novel. Red Dwarf. Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers. Red Dwarf was a BBC science fiction sitcom, ran from the late 80s to the late 90s, about 10 years. The story of the last surviving member of a crew in a spaceship, and by the time of the story in its beginning, he's the last human left alive. But in any event, very much played for the laughs. This is a comedy. Unlike, say, Doctor Who, which had comedic elements, or a show like maybe Blake Seven, if you're talking your British science fiction shows. Blake Seven, of course, being very dark, very serious. This was on the other end of the spectrum. But like I say, I've found one Red Dwarf novel before. This one's by Grant Naylor, and Grant Naylor is one of the co-creators of the show. Anyway, don't see a lot of British stuff, period, but particularly British sci-fi or TV related stuff. Right. But that one caught my eye. The next two I'm counting as one because there's obviously an overlap. Dante's actually the Divine Comedy, Inferno, Purgatio, and Paradiso. All three parts of the Divine Comedy in this one. A very volcanic cover. Okay. And this volume, which is just the Inferno, but to my mind, the much cooler of the two. As you can see, there is a piece from a Hieronymus Bosch painting. Hieronymus Bosch, probably most famous for his illustrations that often go with the Divine Comedy. This one is called The Fall of the Damned. You can see that poor fellow in the middle, tormented by demonic spirits. This one I'm going to keep. I have a signet of the Inferno, which I will turn around and donate, but this one is just too good looking to pass up, to move along to somebody else. Plus, turn to this side. This one's interlinear. You have the text in Italian on the left and the English translation on the right here. And this is the translation by Robert and Jean Hollander, a husband and wife translating team. So this one immediately gets donated, and this one will replace another book on my shelf, which will get donated. But yeah, I thought really good finds. Next, kind of a plain looking edition of 1984 by the man George Orwell. This is a very nice edition, though. French flaps, deckled edges, the kind of thing I'd normally keep. But I'm pretty happy with the Signet Classic edition I have of 1984. So I will be donating this. Um, and when I say donate, if you haven't watched a lot of my videos, the ones I'm donating, unless I say otherwise, are going to the Hatter Bookshop in Princeton, West Virginia, and should be available for anybody who wants them, say by the end of the week. Oh, the Red Dwarf book I showed you at first, that was part of a grocery bag I filled for $1. The rest, I paid the dollar price for. Oh, let's see. Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot. I already have an edition of The Idiot that I'm happy with. So this is a very nice vintage classic. Say, very stark, but this one will get donated. I collect Dostoevsky on the hopes that someday I might read him. I'm told that I absolutely positively have to read Brothers Karamazov before I go, and of course, any of you who've watched the channel long enough know that I've, let's say, been less than truthful about claiming to have read 2 books, only 2. One of them is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. The other is Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I intend to maybe revisit Crime and Punishment. I don't intend to ever, unless I'm compelled by some great need, to ever read Tale of Two Cities. Read the first page of Tale of Two Cities, just the first page, and tell me if most of it isn't just a complete waste of time. It's very poetic, but it says absolutely nothing. Check it out. Tell me if I'm wrong. But on to the good stuff. Found this collection of Roald Dahl's short stories, and these are stories intended for an adult audience. This isn't Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or The Big Friendly Giant or James and the Giant Peach. These are stories about adults, about adults for adults. And like I say, it's of course, an anthology. And the stories have publication tastes ranging from 1945 to 1986. And just to indicate to you the adult nature of some of them, one of these stories, a story called The Bookseller, was actually published in Playboy in 1986. But in any event, I'm told that Roald Dahl's fiction, for his adult audience, tends to be very dark. Don't know if I'm going to immediately donate this or not. I'm tempted to keep it because, once again, if you've been with my channel any length of time, you know that I'm collecting Roald Dahl, Agatha Christie, and Ian Fleming because in the current era, there are creative editors who feel that, let's say, the writing is too insensitive for us to be allowed to read. So I gravitate towards getting older copies. Might do a little more research to see exactly when this one was actually put out into the world. Copyright date, oh golly, is for this particular volume is 1990. Vintage Books Edition, July 1990, which should make it safe. And looking at the publication data, this could be the first edition of that, which makes it even more tempting. Might keep it. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I want to keep this thing. One to read and one to, like I say, preserve the culture. The next book's another one that I found its way into my filled grocery bag that I paid $1 for. And I stuffed that bag. So the books I'm telling you about that made it into the grocery bag, I probably have about 5 cents each in them. But this one, I intend to donate to someone who's watching The Sopranos TV show for the very first time. And it is a biography of James Gandolfini, who, of course, is Tony Soprano. And it's a large print edition. It doesn't indicate that it was ex-library, but a lot of large print books find their way into library collections. Yeah, it's the biography of the actor who made Tony Soprano immortal, the late great James Gandolfini. Um, like I said, I will probably pass that one along. I know some folks who be interested in reading it and having it. Next, I got just for the subject matter. Ghost hunting in Virginia includes the District of Columbia. I'm sure the District of Columbia has all kinds of ghosts, all sorts of nefarious stuff going on in the district. They cover the places you'd expect: Arlington National Cemetery, um, Ford's Theater, um, and the Poe Museum, all of which are supposed to be haunted by unrequited spirits. In any event, this one's going to go to the Hatter, but like I got it because it's something a little different. Uh, and there's quite a market for this place. Lots of folks interested in the supernatural. I don't think it's as big a phenomenon as it used to be, but ghost hunting is still popular in some circles. Anyway, as our Commonwealth. Anyway, I'm snagged it for that reason. These next two, uh, I got once again just because they look quite unique, and they are stories based on the Stranger Things Netflix series, Ars de Hawkins and Max La Fugita, which means Max the Runaway. I believe that means the horror of Hawkins. But in any event, as you probably already noticed, these are Spanish language. Um, would have picked them up because they're Stranger Things, but even more so because they're Spanish language. My daughter was using when I showed these to her yesterday, she was using her high school Spanish to translate the summaries. But this looks like a collection of short stories set in the Stranger Things universe. And this looks like a novel just about the character Max from the show. I believe that sticker, una novela, a novel. So, uh, couldn't pass these up, even if I don't know Spanish. These are going to the bookstore, um, and they've taken some Spanish language stuff from me before. I once, pretty much accidentally bought an omnibus collection of the Chronicles of Narnia books by C.S. Lewis in Spanish, and it's all pretty good. All right, the last book, and this is a keeper for me, and this is one of the books that went into the fill a bag for $1. It's ex-library, but I've made it look a little less ex-library, and that is The Unicorn Sonata by Peter S. Beagle. Now, Peter S. Beagle is probably most famous for his novel The Last Unicorn, and I had no idea that this book actually existed. I don't know if it's a direct sequel, but it's set in the same setting as The Last Unicorn. I read The Last Unicorn, high school or college in the 80s. Um, but yeah, this I had to keep. I truly love The Last Unicorn, and I'm looking forward to eventually getting to read this one. Um, and of course, book as an object. I think that the cover art is just beautiful. Let's see if they say. Oh, they attribute it. Illustrations by Robert Rodriguez. In fact, it's on the front. I don't know Robert Rodriguez, but I do appreciate his style. Anyway, those are actually the 11 books, but 10 works that I got my first day hunting the library sale. Didn't get to spend as much time there as I wanted. There was tons and tons of stuff to look through, and unfortunately, work interfered with book hunting, as it will sometimes. So I had to leave before I was completely done. And I plan to come back later in the week anyway, for the reason I gave before. Prices get better the longer the sale goes. Um, but anyway, I think I will wrap it up for now. Like I say, it was a fun experience, and to my mind, probably one of the absolute best places to hunt for books if you're into book hunting or collecting for any reason are your library sales. And I plan, based on a request I've had from a couple of friends in real life, to do a video for too long about best places and practices to find books. Some simple nuts and bolts kind of stuff to help you in your book hunting endeavors. But with that, I believe I'll wrap up. And I wish you well, stay safe, and as always, good book hunting.